Hey Jill,
Hi.
how are you? I think we're
Good,
live
thank
now.
you.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Hale with Marketing at DAS, and this is Karen, our CEO. And today we have Jill Melandrino, our global trading and market resource at NASDAQ, and Mike, our institutional trainer and educator. And we are going to go over the week one of our second best trader competition. So I thought we would start by looking at the top traded stocks last week. We had CLDR, Cloudera. I don't know much about this stock. Are you familiar with it, Jill?
I am familiar with it, but I kind of wanted to kick it off with a macro look real quick, something that Mike and I were talking about last week. In terms of some of the heavily traded names, we noticed there were some of those volatility products, and now that it's everything seems to be right in the world again, we saw nothing like that attached at all. So I think it's definitely the tone of the market is definitely different than what we spoke about last time, and so I just wanted to bring that up. I also noticed there's a large concentration in the healthcare and biotech names. No surprise with some of the news out there. AMD, Micron, again, those seem to always be in the top 10. I mean, they're always heavily traded, but particularly with the U.S. and China trade tariffs, they're going to be even more so in the mix. So it looks like the picture of stocks that we have here has been really indicative of what we're seeing in the news as well.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of the biotech companies being traded. That's our second and third most popular and heavily traded stock of last week as well as this week. So we're seeing a lot of different ones popping up.
Mike, do you have any input? Did you take a look to see what stocks were traded last week? Hello, Mike? Are you still there? Did we lose him?
I think we might have.
Yeah, I think we have.
We're also seeing several of the big cap stocks being traded. Apple, who had some product releases this week. Those companies whose earnings reports had come out. What have you been seeing in terms of that, Jill?
I'm sorry, you guys cut out. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Carolyn was saying that she noticed that Apple was also heavily traded last week as well. Was that what you said?
Yeah, a lot of the big cap companies.
Do you also see that as a trend that's happening?
Well, it's really interesting because one of the key themes that we've been discussing at MarketSite and a number of the other media outlets as well is the shift from the growth and momentum names into the value stocks, which is why I think we've seen that outperformance with the Russell this week as well, up over 5% on the week. I don't know if that's necessarily the case where everyone's all of a sudden moving, mass moves from the growth momentum names, but it's not surprising to see some sector shifting there, considering how much they have had a run and people are looking for value out there. I also think, again, you had Apple's their product day yesterday. So I think there was a lot of anticipation into that. And again, a lot of these big tech names that have exposure to China are going to be more widely traded because of that, because they're moving around these headlines. I'm willing to bet not only at DAS Trader, but virtually every broker that's out there, that Apple's one of the most widely held and traded names out there for retail and institutional investors. So that doesn't surprise me that much. I think we'll continue to see that for at least until there's some resolution with the U.S.-China trade talks. And the fact of the matter is that the economy has certainly shifted from manufacturing to tech and services. So what we're seeing being traded is indicative of what our global economy is, which is why when you look at the weighting of the sectors with the 11 major sectors, the outperformance in tech and just how heavily they are weighted. I think tech is like 22%. Wasn't like that 15, 20 years ago. So naturally, the ones that have the higher weighting and are more indicative of what we're using and seeing and hearing about day to day it's going to be reflected in the volume.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting that you brought that up, because when we were looking at the recap of one of the stocks that those guys traded last week, which one was it, Carolyn?
It was...
was it this one that you didn't
ARDX.
have? Right.
Yep.
Okay. So
that's the bio.
This stock here that we're going to bring up on the screen.
I'm back, by the way. I'm sorry about
I
that.
think
My internet cut out for a little bit.
To close out.
Yeah, so we were just saying, Mike, that what we're noticing is that there's a lot of tech stocks that are being traded, especially Apple, and it has a lot to do with, the trade talks with China. And one particular stock that we saw a huge movement last week with the traders and the competition was ARDX. And as you can see, that it had shares of it's a very thinly traded stock, and it's a micro cap. And it was over 200% year to date. So it's a very interesting. I think it had a lot to do with what was happening in China and the talks as well.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, obviously, Apple is the name of the day.
This one also.
The three other stocks that were really talked about heavily, or traded heavily, is Roku. So Apple basically came out with an announcement that they're going to be, in the streaming TV market. With a $5 streaming TV product, which is obviously why Roku was negatively affected. And then obviously Disney also is considered in the streaming TV area, so they were negatively affected, as well as Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Apple coming in strong into the streaming TV arena with their announcement, and then of course the other companies that were negatively affected by that announcement also popping up and being very actively traded. As far as the microcaps, you're going to see, one or two microcaps are going to pop in there.
I've been seeing Roku being traded pretty heavily as well.
Right. And this stock here, there's another stock that was very interesting that we couldn't find much information on, is CLDR, which if you look on our traders day, the top stock, it's the first one in our list. What do you think about that stock? Because it seems like it was 14% after the Data Cloud reported their second quarter financials.
Correct.
So, do you know this stock, Mike? Have you ever heard?
I've only seen the name popping up recently.
Yeah.
But I haven't really done any, research specifically on it. I'm going to take a look at it now as we discuss other things to see if I see anything specific about it.
What do you
It
think
looks
about
like one of these names that just pop up
Yeah.
intermittently.
Well, what do you think, Jill, on that particular stock? We couldn't find anything much about it other than the fact that the U.S. trade talks with China apparently affected it, and a lot of people were trading it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, same thing too. I could take a look at it, but it's not something that I know that well.
Yeah.
I think that's really going to be the case,
Mm-hmm.
As traders look for derivative plays, as these trade talk headlines come through. It's almost like when anyone trades Apple, the first thing that you do when they make comments is, look at the supply chain
Right.
and, other areas of the market that can impact it. So I think we're going to start to see that, or if we haven't already, well, obviously we are, because these are names we're unfamiliar with, but they are clearly being impacted by it. So
Right.
have to do a little bit more research on that one, but I
Right.
think that's going to continue to be the case.
Yeah.
The other thing that we noticed, Jill, was that on the 3rd and the 4th of September, a lot of our traders had spiked in their trades and then kind of settled back down. Do you know if anything happened on either of those 2 days in the markets that was of significance? Or is it just
What 2 days were those?
September 3rd and 4th? We had a lot of our top
Oh,
traders.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, remember we came back from the Labor Day holiday, and that Tuesday, I believe the Dow was down 300 or 400 points, and of course it was related to U.S. trade rhetoric headlines over, I think it was Sunday night it actually started when the futures market opened, continued through Monday, and then we had that down day. And then, of course, there were some comments that came out Tuesday night leading into Wednesday. So that's where I feel like the August volatility ended, and then we really haven't looked back since that Wednesday. I think we're up 7 days in a row at this point. But that's definitely why it was. It was coming back from that Labor Day holiday and the negative headlines that came out over the weekend.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Let's take a look at. Go ahead.
Technically, we basically broke out of what was a bear flag that we had been kind of stuck in for like 3 weeks. So once we broke out of the top of the range of that bear flag, traders also felt like they were committed to the long side. So for about those 2 to 3 days, everybody felt like they had to commit to the long side after being in the uncertainty of the bear flag. And then obviously we had a significant run up. Also, on top of that, everybody pretty much got their kids back to school. All the bosses are back to the trade desk. We kind of had a clear direction, so money got committed to the long side again.
Right.
That's the way I read it.
Yep. Okay. Now, Jill, I know that you'll be leaving us shortly. You have to jump on another. Is there anything else you want to comment about the traders? What you've seen so far? Just reviewing the recap page. Especially the guys who seem to have some consistency, or any particular pattern that you want to throw out there. I mean, we started looking at the consistency of the traders. For example, we wanted to see which trader, what was a pattern, what were these guys doing, and it's just very interesting. If you have any comment on that.
Yeah, the only page I have up is a one pager that doesn't appear to be dynamic. I don't know if I'm looking.
Oh, sure. We're looking at the rankings.
Oh, are you looking at the rankings, today's ranking page? Maybe. Is that what you're looking at?
It's not the black screen that we had last week.
Okay.
It just looks like an aggregated. So, but
Yeah.
I will say though, Trader 274 and 112 seem to be very consistent. I remember 112
Yes.
from the last time that we spoke.
Yes.
So that's interesting to see. But I do enjoy this because they really do piggyback on what's happening in the news and the trading communities out there in terms of what the hot stocks are that are out there. ARDX, MNK, those are really popular last week. So that's encouraging for me to see.
And you know what? Also, Jill, it looks like 274 was actually trading options.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was. I would love to understand their strategies there.
Yeah.
Options are kind of my bread and butter. So
Yeah.
I thought it was only stocks. Yeah. So I'd love to take a look at that more in depth next time we're here.
Yeah. He actually traded, looked like Roku contracts.
Oh, yep. Roku's been active.
Yeah. He traded Lulu. What's Lulu?
Around. Yep.
And Amazon. Those were his favorites. Twitter. Nivea as well. So he's definitely trading very good. Top stocks. The options on it. I would love to know what his strategy is. Interesting about this trader. He's actually in Spain, and he was one of the winners of our June competition, and he jumped back right in because he can't make it to our Nasdaq. Day at the Nasdaq, and he said he loves this competition so much that he went right back in. So that was interesting.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And a lot of these community traders, we've noticed, there's not a lot of pre-market trading, but they seem to, as a community or as a whole, at least the top traders that are belonging to the same community, they're in the market, maybe a few pre-market trades, but moment it's 9:01, they're in and they're out, and then generally around noonish they kind of stay flat for the rest of the day, but they seem to be the most profitable traders that we have so far.
Okay. The best 112 was actually trading stocks.
Yeah.
So he, again, you pointed out, was very consistent. He was very, very, very consistent the first week.
Yeah.
And then below him there is best 169. His chart is very interesting. It goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. So,
Yep.
It's an interesting chart. So. Okay.
All right. Well, I look forward to talking to everyone.
Next
Next
Thursday. Yeah. So we're gonna try and do
All
this
right.
weekly, every Thursday at about the same time.
Okay, great. Awesome. I sent you guys my calendar the other week. So have a great week. I look forward to speaking with everyone next time.
All right. Thank you so much,
thank
Jill.
you so much.
All right. Take care, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Is Mike? Are you still there?
No, he's not there.
Okay, so it's just us on the call then.
Yep.
All right. So I guess we could go through. Oh, Mike, you're back. All right. So Jill just dropped off the call because she had somewhere to go. Today.
Sorry, I'm back.
That's fine.
My internet keeps cutting out. I apologize.
Yeah. So Mike is actually in London right now, and so he is joining us all the way from the other side of the world,
Yep.
technically. So, yeah. So, Mike, we're looking at the traders now to see consistency pattern. So we noticed that Best 112 was very consistent. What's interesting about his chart is that, again, everybody had a huge spike the first and second day.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the spike the first and second day, and then he basically dropped down the third day, and then you can see him gradually moving back up on the fifth day. But if you look at this, are you looking at our recap page? What should we be looking at to show a good consistent pattern
Maybe we
for a
should look
trader?
at day 8. 'Cause it'll give us
Unfortunately, I'm having a lot of internet problems.
Okay. All right. So you're not able to see what we're seeing. Okay, that's fine. So what we did was our report shows consistency of traders, and we identify two particular traders that we thought had really good consistency pattern, and one was best 274, and the other one was best 112. 274 was trading options, and we were just really interested to see if we could figure out. And you're an options trader. So maybe, I can tell you the symbols that he was trading, if you can kind of tell us a little bit more about what do you think his strategy was.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to read up the symbols, but what you really want to see is people taking small losses
Okay.
and larger, more consistent gains, so that they have a smooth equity curve.
It seemed
they're
like
not
that's...
taking-
Yeah. Go ahead,
that
Mike.
they're not taking huge hits or over-risking on a particular play. They just want to be looking for an equal measure. Let's just say, in the beauty of options is let's say you risk $500 each trade,
Mm-hmm.
and then you only lost the $500 that you put at risk. But when you make money, you make 5 times the money. You make $2,500. So you could see small loss, small loss, small loss, larger than average gain. That's going to be a nice, smooth, even equity curve. Or they make $500, they risk $500. They make $500, they risk $500. They make $250. They have a nice, smooth.
Mike?
I think he's just losing internet. It's cutting in and out. Okay. Mike, we can't hear you. So as soon as we're able to hear you, you can continue speaking. But Carolyn, in the meantime, is going to go through a little bit more about the stocks that we noticed during the competition of last week.
So we're seeing a lot of the biotech stocks, being traded again. We have NTGN, which is Entogen. Neon Therapeutics, and that's a biotech also. And they have just announced that they are being published in Immunity magazine. So that caused them to get quite a bit of attention. And then we again have ARDX, which we talked about at length. Mm-hmm. And they have risen 200% year to date. So they're doing very well and heavily traded, in fact.
Okay. So, so again, it seems like, most of these stocks that people are trading, as Jill had pointed out, seem to be, either their tech stocks or
bio
health
industry,
industry, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I haven't seen? Any gas stocks or
oil stocks,
right? Which maybe it's just not the time of the year for someone to be trading that stock. Interesting. Or maybe there's not enough, because there's a lot of talks right now about
even the commodity sector
cars
is
that
quiet.
that are energy efficient. I know BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Tesla. These, I'm not seeing anybody trading any of those names, which is very interesting.
I haven't seen much of Google either.
Yeah. So I don't know what is how these traders are coming across these stocks, if these are just really high movement stocks. And it does seem that way, because if you look at CLDR, look at the chart, there's definitely spikes going up here, and then it just kind of, leveling out. So, okay. All right. So if you're in the competition, we would love to be able to hear from you, want to hear your strategy. You could send us an email. Tell us if you want to join us on these podcasts, because we would love to hear what your strategy is, whether your strategy is working for you, whatever mistakes that you might have had, what you learned from this experience, for other traders who are in the competition and still, trying to get their consistency level up. And again, this competition is going to be until October 15th. This is the very last week. Hey, Mike, I know you dropped off.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm back now.
A for effort.
Yeah. So as I was saying, the competition is running until October 15th. This is very much the last week. If you still want to join, you can sign up for this competition and register. We did see a few people that actually knocked themselves out the first 2 weeks, and then they re-enter the competition, which probably was a good thing that we left the registration open. We're not sure if we'll continue to keep it open next week. We kind of had it set that this was the final week for you to jump in. But if you think that we should extend it one more week, please send us an email. That's a comment that we would want to take under consideration. Or if you think that, this week is final, let's get really serious and, lock everybody in, until October 15th. So we would love to hear that comment from people as well.
I just wanted to say a few things about the market and where we are, and then obviously just talk about trading for a few seconds now that I seem to have a stable connection.
Okay, sounds good. You have the floor.
Yeah, well, let me get it in while I can.
Okay.
So basically, the first thing I want to say is that the market's been up for 7 days now. So we have 7 days up. So what I would expect is that there's probably going to be some swing back to the downside in the near term. Mm-hmm. We're going into a weekend as well. So kids are back at school. There's probably going to be some profit taking on the horizon. So you're going to get a little bit more volatility. Basically, trade talks have gone well. At least that's the perception of things. Mm-hmm. So the market has been pretty stable for the last week or so. So we're probably going to get some more volatility back into the market in the near term. As far as individual traders, don't always expect the market conditions that currently are to continue. So if the market currently has been kind of tranquil, okay, you always expect one thing to be consistent in the market, which is change. The market is consistently always changing. Mm-hmm. So be prepared for a shift in the market sentiment in the near term. If you have been doing the right thing in the competition, you have been consistently making small gains each and every day, bringing in some income if you're trading, so that you're building up a nice cushion so that the next market change or market direction, you have a little bit of profits that you're sitting on to help you adjust to whatever's going to happen next. And what we've seen is that there's been a number of traders that have been slowly and steadily moving up the charts, mm-hmm. meaning that their ranking has been slowly but steadily increasing as other traders have popped on and disappeared. Mm-hmm. I'm watching the traders who are slowly and steadily moving up the charts, trading most days, and just doing stuff that's consistent, and they're building up their standing in the overall competition. Those are the people that I'm watching as we go into this next phase of the trader competition. Yeah, and that's what I think that's what I would be doing if I was a trader in the competition, and I think those are the people that are most likely going to win this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely right. The ones who are slowly moving, making their profits and cutting their loss are definitely the ones who are playing the game consistently. Yeah. And and that's something that's a good advice, Mike.
That they are, using proper risk management and keeping their, emotional trading out of it.
And when I'm back in New York, I have some exciting. I'm going to be giving a tour of the downtown area and taking our last winner mm-hmm. on a tour of the NASDAQ,
which is coming Monday, the 16th.
Yeah, so on the 16th, I'm going to be back in New York, giving a Wall Street tour as well as taking them to the NASDAQ Market Center, which is pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that as well, and. I think it's a great reward for any market participant to actually be to the center mm-hmm. of the market here in New York. Well, in New York, not here in New York, but in New York in general.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
So
pretty exciting time.
Carolyn will be joining the winners also. She'll be there. So we'll probably do a little impromptu interview with awesome. Whoever is there as well for that day at the NASDAQ price. Okay.
Awesome. I can't wait myself. So I'd be very excited to take the winner from the last competition. And of course, I'm looking forward to whoever's going to be the winner of this competition, because I'll probably be taking you around as well.
Yep, that will be part of the, their their prize. All right, well, thank you, Mike. We're going to end this cast today. And, again, a reminder to everyone about, the fact that this competition, again, is going to end October 15th. And this is the very last week that if you want to get in on it, this is the time that you want to register, because we are going to close it on September 15th. And then on the last day of October 15th, the end of day trading, we're going to cut trading off at 4 p.m. And we'll be able to announce who that winner is promptly at 4 p.m.
Very cool.
All right.
All right, everybody. Great seeing you. I'll see you next week.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, Mike.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Okay. Okay, guys. We're going to be turning this off. Okay, first let's... All right, and
Stop streaming.
where do you see?
Here.